All right, late Sunday recap, including the portfolio update. Now, obviously, it was a crazy week. We had the Japanese carry trade unwind, and then I don't want to say rewind, but we undid the unwind because the BOJ chickened out, right? Just on a 25 basis point hike, which is ridiculous. The whole global market just crashes, and then they're forced to just do an about face. That's really ridiculous. However, I don't think that the markets will just go back to where they came from because I think some damage has been done technically in some assets and then psychologically in some of the same assets. But all right, let's see. DXY, we came all the way back down. That was mainly led by the US dollar, Japanese yen. So we can look at that straight away. Came all the way down to pretty much 141, bounced. We're hitting a bit of, I don't know, the ascending is now resistance. Yeah, but we know we're not going all the way back up, are we? You don't see us trading in the 152s or even higher. So, what's going to happen next week? I think we're going to go back down and test the lows, actually. I mean, that doesn't mean we breach them, but I do feel like we need that sort of double bottom test because I don't know. It's just what I think is going to happen. To be honest, they did kind of close towards the high. Obviously, it's possible to go all the way back up. But I just have the feeling that, and also DXY, look at that, we retested price support is resistance. So technically, it's still capable of going back down again. Whether we flush, I don't know. I feel like you need another catalyst for that because they did just reverse the decision, didn't they? But there is some damage still in the FX charts. That's the point, despite closing at the highs. The bonds, I mean, yeah, there was a nice retracement there too, but look at that Friday close on the 30, on the 10, the 2, I think was a bit better. That looks like it wants to go back up and reclaim this area. But what a washout. So let's just see. We do need another week because it was a wild ride and they reversed decisions. So next week will be very important, I think, just to clear, to make sure the dust has really settled, put it that way. And that's just not an FX, that's in bonds. Let's check out gold because silver we'll get to. Silver was weak. And I have this there was someone who was mentioning how, how in 2015, the end of 2015, they finally raised rates and that was the bottom in the markets for the gold, silver markets, and then we just went up. There was an argument made where now they're finally going to cut rates and it's priced in September it's going to happen. Maybe we're going to get a bit of a top in the metals markets. It's the first time I've heard that thesis, and it was pretty persuasive. I mean, that was basically the argument, how the opposite of what you think is going to happen happens, and everything's been priced in. So I don't know. I'm giving that some thought. And to be honest, the way silver's moved does indicate a bit of relative weakness. We'll get to silver. Gold, however, looks really good because same resistance, 2480, same support, 2350. We never tested it. It was higher lows. There is probably no ascending here. I don't know. No, it doesn't matter. Higher lows. I don't want to say higher highs, but the same highs. So it's strong. I mean, look where we are. With 2430, we're actually $50 away from testing the historic highs. So gold did its thing. It held out quite well. Think about what everything else did. Even Bitcoin here Sunday night is crashing again. I'm not really sure why. But gold did its thing. And gold, I think, will just continue to keep going up. So gold, no complaints. And those two levels, all that counts. And honestly, it looks good. If it comes back down again, that's silver it's gonna get destroyed, actually, I feel like. But if it goes up, come Tuesday, we're probably making new all-time historic highs, put it that way. And I feel like next week we could actually test 2480, maybe 2500. Is that finally the signal for the miners to run? I don't know. Everyone said that. We'll look at the miners anyway. Let's look at silver though, because silver, I need to get rid of some of these, but actually they're still in the right place. Silver, a bit like the FX, a bit like bonds, took some technical damage, flushed some key levels, it's got a lot of resistance on the way up. Unlike gold, gold only has 2480, and then that's it. 2500 is nothing. It's nothing. It would like stop losses, short stop losses are probably at 25 something. So I think gold just has 2480, whereas silver has this descending resistance to play with. That's immediately above. If we keep going, imagine gold's taking out 2500. We're probably gonna have to deal with 29 to 2950. The old support, also the highs from the last time we've rallied in the last couple of weeks. If we take that out, and by now you've got gold at 25 something, you're going to have to deal with this descending. So quite a lot of resistance for silver. On the way down, I've got the old lows of the week, and then obviously this little 26, which is not just the old low here, but it was the, this very famous horizontal resistance, which took months and months, you could even say years to take out. So, yeah, and what happens if we keep going down? I know that's not on our radar, especially with gold looking so good, but imagine for whatever reason gold starts to go down. For example, rate hikes are coming, they deliver them as expected in September. What if gold starts to go down? Because, okay, they're finally cutting rates, which is what we always knew. Just that reverse psychology, just like in end of 2015, they finally raised rates and that was the bottom. Maybe Trump comes in and starts to, I don't want to say cut the deck because that's not his style. It's no one's style, but make peace. Well, how much is peace priced into the gold? With the Ukraine and what if there's peace? So anyway, whatever the catalyst, you've got to also consider if we lose 26, and we're not going to lose 26 next week, but just in case, we have this very strong ascending support. And by the time we get there, because it won't get there in one go, it'd probably be 24, just below 24, you know, very, very super strong support here. Just thought I'd mention that. I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen because I'm still not positioned that much. I did sell quite a bit there on this pump from the drop, but it's something that I've just considered in the last 2 days, actually, since hearing that point being made. All right, the miners. So they came all the way down to this horizontal GDXJ here, a bit like silver. We've bounced, we've closed decent near high of day, not really near high of week, but here we've got clear horizontal, right? 43.30. If we can close above 43.30, now we're in the next level of range. I do think we have a bit of a descending resistance to play with. So if we do close above 43, let's say 40, you may have to hit your head on this just below 45. Otherwise, next level is 46. That's what I've got. And then this, I don't know how much that'll count because once you close above 46, there's probably something going on like gold's running at 2,500 and you may have a bit of a squeeze coming and bringing us all the way back up here because, everyone who's in miners or who's sold out, people will probably be chasing like, wait a minute, we should be all the way up here. So we could have a nice squeeze. For that, you need gold at 2,500 and I don't know where silver will be at that point. Otherwise, on the way down, it'll be the lows of the week. I haven't looked below 40, which is obviously the real support here. And even if you crash below 40, it'll probably bounce back up. Where's your next support? It's probably going to be something like 38, actually, but I don't see why we would have to look at that. I'll put this in anyway, just because I see it. Next one, SILJ. That came down even more because silver came down even more than gold. You've got this support just above 10. Resistance you've got here. Look at that price support there. Let's call resistance at 11.30. We closed near high of day. You got a little bit more of a push before you hit 11.30. So first resistance is 11.30. Next one, depends how long it takes, but this descending might play a role, may coincide with a big round number like 12. Otherwise, I've got this little high of this candle and then this high here. Like silver, quite a few resistance points on the way up. I think they're pretty clearly defined. Maybe I got one or two wrong maximum, but I don't think by much. The point is you'll get a lot of resistance. And if you do want to be a bit tactical and sell, you can buy back. You can make that little 3 or 4%, within the trade. So it could be better than holding, just sell, buy back. Depends if you want to trade the ETF or individual stocks. I'm obviously in individual stocks and they have their own individual support and resistance. So that's where you can get a little extra tactical and compound gains or prevent losses, extra losses that way. So that's what I've got. Resistance on the way up. Support is obviously the old low, just above $10 here. Let's call it 10.20. After that, I haven't really looked at it. Probably something like 9.40, just something like that. The old lows from down here. It's strange to think about levels like this when you've got gold basically one decent day away from making new all-time historic highs. All right, GDX, that looks better than SILJ and GDXJ because that's the seniors and they outperformed. They did their job. They were defensive. They held up well. We've got stocks like Newmont and Kaneko Eagle. Look at this here, GDX just closing at the highs, pretty much at resistance. Let's call it 30, 35, 90. I mean, you could have one good day or two decent days, and you're basically testing the next resistance. I've only got one resistance here. It's 38, just above 38, really, up 38. After that, it's the old highs all the way at 39.50, 39.40. So that's pretty good for GDX. And I think if gold starts to break out, GDX will start to, imagine gold's at 2,500, GDX will probably be 38. And then as it runs, the next day we're there. And then we start to catch up with gold percentage wise. And you'll see it's above 40. And then there's a bit of a run. On the way down, we've got the old support of the, let's call it carry trade low. So 34 bucks. And after that, I've got here 33. And after that, I got here 32. Very simple. GDX keeps it very simple. So that's pretty much it for the ETFs of the miners. Let's look at the actual portfolio. Newmont, obviously, that's a GDX follower, even creator. It has a big influence. Very, very good. It's got its own little resistance here, 48. 30, let's say. Once you crack that, you got the old high, which is 50, 70, let's say. That's it. Very, very strong, very nice. On the way down, we've got this level, the whole horizontal support, but also coincides with this ascending. So that'll be very strong, 45 bucks or just below. If we crack that, is that still support? You know what? I don't know, actually. So I better take it off. I'll leave it like this. I don't see us cracking below that. If we do, I'll let it just drift lower because we've probably got quite a few stocks going down. So I might not be in a hurry to add to Newmont because I got quite a bit in that one. Even though I've trimmed them all a decent amount. So if we crash, I won't be as heavily in as I used to be, but still a decent holding in Newmont. So not looking to add down here, looking to add if you have a real crash, and I'll probably be adding others also. But yeah, good resistance, not much resistance on the way. Barrick Gold has always been underperforming Newmont, but decent bounce from the low. So let's already cover support 16 bucks. If we lose that, little ones on the way down. I don't know why we would go down, but if we do, we've got 15.5, 15, and can you imagine going below 15 on Barrick Gold with gold where it is? Then we've got 14. I doubt we get to 13.8. But those are the levels I'm looking at. Maybe there's another stop off here at 14.5. Resistance, more likely to encounter resistance and support. So 17.6. You can see prior support, resistance on these 2 days. That was last week. Next one after that is up here, 18.7. But to be honest, you also got this descending, which has, been around for years. So that will be a very, very strong, and has been. I know we popped our head above, but you got 3 resistance points. That's why I got this big circle. You basically got 1870 here. Let's call it 1890, the big descending, and then you got 1900. Sorry, 19 bucks. So just below 19 bucks, you've got, I think, what should be very strong resistance. And if you pop your head above that, 19.5, the old high, and then 20, the big psychological number, but also a bit of a zone in the past. So you got quite a few little resistance points coalescing at the same point, kind of. After that, then you get your clear sky. Obviously, you'll encounter resistance on the way. Gold will have its resistance, GDX will, but basically not much until maybe 1 or 2 pit stops. You can see this all the way up to 26, but it's really between 1870 and 20, but especially that $1 unit there. You see what I mean? All right, that's Barrick Gold. The Kaneko, another one just like Newmont, very good, closing a high of day. There's really no resistance until the old high at 78. You may have a little stop off here at 76, but pretty much 76, 78 is the resistance. Support, honestly, I would say even this is support 72. That's how strong it is. If we go down, then this ascending seems to have proved itself. So again, it should. So 70 bucks, 72 and 70 bucks should be very strong support. Otherwise, the old highs at 78. That's it. If we start to lose 70, then something's going on and there may be a big crash elsewhere. I would just move this up here and say 64 will be support. Normally, I'd leave it all the way down there, but this is such a strong stock that I wouldn't be surprised if it catches a bid just before the absolute low of this period. So that's all I'll say for Kaneko. And if we do take out 78, there's really not much until 84. So, and if we got 2,500 in gold, this thing will be above 78. I really, really am quite sure about that. Pan America. a very strong stock. However, got absolutely decked with silver and on supposedly bad news. But look at the recovery. And I traded this. I traded quite a lot actually, so I'm not going to go through all my trades, but from 18 all the way up to 2050. That's still resistance. That was prior support also here after the gap fill, right? I mentioned they're all going to do gap fills and they pretty much did. And again, 20.5, it kind of just opened there and never really went much higher and came all the way back down. Look at these levels though. Look at this also from here. I mean, the levels are quite simply 18 bucks, 1940, and 20.5. Those are the three levels. And every single day it proved that of this week, last week, this week. Now, Friday we closed at the high of day, and that was after some bad news, I believe. So that was okay. Just let's see which way it goes, right? I don't have to guess every single stock. It should go higher. It depends how the market's open, especially gold, especially silver. But we literally closed the high of day, so it's got to take out resistance at 2050 and start trading within this range. It's going to encounter this resistance on the way up. Yeah, it's just going to encounter that. Depends how long it takes to get there, but to know where exactly it would encounter that resistance. But yeah, 19.4, that should be easy to take out if we start going up. 20.4, and then wherever it hits this. On the way down, 18, you don't want to lose 18. You don't want to lose 18 because it'll go lower. It's been support for ages. Also, more significantly here, it really held on well. If it starts to go lower, maybe because silver's going down, you will start to see 17, and you want 17 to hold. Otherwise, you're going to start looking at, I don't actually know where it would find support. You probably have to look at another like silver chart, probably, that 20, what was that number? 24 range, Otherwise, we have support down here quite clearly defined, but I think it's ridiculous to talk about that for now. Let's just 18 and then 17. Let's see if it gets below 17. I don't see that happening unless silver really takes a dive. Otherwise, this is a fantastic stock to own long term. It's like those other big boys. It should be trading all the way up here. So you don't want to get too greedy and wait for a very low price that might never come. SSRM. Oh God, I traded this one badly. I bought this one really early, 50 something, 506, I think it is. And then never added to it, thankfully. And here it is. So it's really, don't really like this one. Support is quite clearly 4.35-ish, right? Low 4.3s otherwise. Resistance, well, actually, it never was able to really take out 4.65. So that's your real resistance for the week. Then you can gap fill and get to 4.7. Let's at least achieve that. If we're able to take out 4.7, imagine the whole sector's rallying, because I don't see any good news soon coming here for this one. Then you go all the way to 5.06, which is basically where I bought. Otherwise, the old high all the way up here, 5.5, that should be strong resistance because that was where the bad news emanated from. So this is another one which has a lot of resistance on the way up, which is annoying, but at least you can use it. If you own it, you could sell into those levels, especially the higher it gets. You should be confident that it will drop from there. So something I'm considering buying. I mean, quite a few of them taking a hit. This one's all the way down its lows, but just technically not strong. It could easily go back down to $4. Imagine gold and silver starts to flush. Easily go down to $4, and then who knows, new lows if it starts to accelerate because there's some market crash. So I'm really no hurry to buy this. I own a decent amount. I can definitely sell what I own on the way up. And if it does go up and I sell on the way up, then I could maybe buy back what I sold. But I'm not really thinking about buying now. If it goes down to 4, I might. It depends how everything else is trading. Okay, Wheaton, another strong defensive stock, closing high of day. I can see that continuing, going back to its old level. It's really got to reclaim this 57 range to trade between 57 and 60. 60 is the next level after 57. And after 60, it's 63. Quite simple stuff for resistance on the way up. The support, I've got 53.3-ish for the support. Is support the last week. After that, 52 on the dot pretty much. And after that, yeah, 50, big round number, price support from there. I think that's pretty clear. I don't see any other support or resistance on the way. But yeah, it did okay. It came down quite a bit, but it did make new all-time high, so that kind of makes sense. But otherwise, nowhere near as much as some of the other stocks. So did its job quite well. Very happy. That's the point of owning a big stock like Wheaton. Franco-Nevada is okay. That's hasn't performed as well as Wheaton for the last couple of months, but it didn't drop too much, closing a high of day. And there, yeah, you got your 122s, you got your little gap fill all the way to 124, and then otherwise the old high at 130. I'm not going to get too cute and say 129 and 13, 1.5. Just say 130. Let's close above that, and then we start up making our way to 140. But you do not want to lose your one here, this little low from the week, this 117-ish zone, because then you're at 114, and that's really the biggest level that we've seen in months, because it was resistance, it's support, and you don't want to start revisiting that, because if you start to flush that, it's low 100s, and that would be strange to have Franco-Nevada all the way down there. Metalla, okay, I caught 233, so I'm quite happy about that. Otherwise, absolutely horrible stock. Long term has not moved. I was expecting it to have moved a long time ago. Now we have this very strong resistance. That is the main one to write home about. It really is all about that one. Now, yes, for sure, this, what I thought would be support we would never visit, is now resistance. So 270 is the first target to crack. You take that out, it's really this $3. That's the high here. That's really the last high before you hit this descending. And it's all about this descending, and it's proven itself many times. So yeah, those are resistance, three resistance points, 270, $3, and then however long it takes to hit this will define where it is. The lows of the week, this 232-ish, that's definitely support, and that should be very strong support because it proved itself, and it's damn cheap. And if you start to lose that, one of the few charts where you have to really zoom out to see the next one is $2. I will add it $2 with great fury. What I probably would, but I don't see that happening. Next one, First Majestic. Now we're hitting the aggressive silver stocks. So closing the high of day on Friday, that's fair enough. It did bounce quite well from 440, but what the hell are we doing at 440? I know it's had bad news, and that's very disappointing. Yes, that's one that I want to, I say I want to get rid of it, but it would feel very strange not to own First Majestic for a silver breakout, but we're far from a breakout, aren't we? So I think I'm going to trim my position permanently. Like, I'm going to make it light. I will never make it a medium or heavy trade as I used to, because it really is like a serial disappointment. But it's very cheap where it is. So I don't mind tactically. I don't want to say adding to it, because I have added a little bit already. Oh, it's a nice one. But I will sell into it. That's definitely what, buying is just annoying because everything's kind of a buy sometimes when everything gets this destroyed, but this is particularly destroyed. I did trim already. I don't know if I sold 100% of what I bought, but anyway, let's just look at resistance. I think what I'll do in the end is just sell on the way up. That's probably the best thing you can do with something like this, which has just had lots of bad news, lower highs, lower lows. Just, why would the trend change now? It's just had bad news recently, and the silver doesn't even look really strong. That in itself, silver will encounter lots of resistance. So silver has its own resistance levels on the way up, and so does First Majestic. First one for me is pretty much 520. It's not an obvious one. It might be wrong. It was price support. It went kind of through it quite easily, so I might simply be wrong. It's probably better to just put the resistance here of the week. Maybe it's 510. Don't know. I'm actually not sure. I'll do it in the middle. But anyway, what's for sure is once you take out this 5 to 520 zone, if you're trading within it, the next real resistance is 570. That is a bit more of an obvious one. Maybe it's 580, but I think I'd be willing to sell at 65 or something. Don't want to get too cute with 5 cents and miss it, and then it starts to come all the way back down again. So resistance on the way up, there's quite a lot. There's this 570-ish zone. You do have a bit of a gap fill, 580 all the way up to $6. So for me, it would be, if we have the luxury of going all the way back up here, it would be like little machine gun sells, old school stuff, 569, probably 579, probably 599 just on general principle. 609, just small little trims. And if we go higher than that, God forbid, 619, just sell, 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 sell. Little 10%, 10%, 10%, or 555, and basically end up with half the position by the time I'm here, because I doubt we're going to just keep going up. You know, imagine take out this descent and keep going up to 680. Forget it. And if it does, I'll sell more. You know, I'm willing to close my position. And if it somehow gets all the way up here, and I have other silver stocks in case there's a surprise, shocking breakout that's continuing in silver, which will not happen, in my opinion, not now. And in fact, I'd be surprised if it even gets to 569. So lots of resistance on the way down. 440, it's probably just above 440, the support. It's not going to get to 440. If we lose that, 420, then you have to zoom out and look at new all-time lows. You know what I mean by all-time lows. Keep it simple. It might even crash through $3. Crazy stuff. If silver starts to flush, though, this is reality. You could have First Majestic retest this just on an average week. What if silver starts to crash through 26 and start to hit the 23? Yeah, you'll get First Majestic at new all-time, you know, new lows. This whole move, it raises and some. Can you imagine that? Right, let's not imagine that for now. Those are the levels I'm looking at for now. 4.2 now. So at least it hasn't gone as far down as First Majestic. This one here is looking better. So very good close on Friday. Close at resistance, which kind of within the bottom part of the range. So, you know, first of all, support is going to be the low of this week that we just had. So let's call that 385. Then resistance is for here. I'm going to say 440 actually, but I think we're pretty much there, close the high of day. So once we're at 440, then the next range is 480. That's a nice 40 cents range. And then after that, you've got a 60-cent range between 480 and 540. And always sell 1 or 2 or 3 cents below. I usually do 1 cent actually. That's the trick. So those are levels to see on the way up. This also should encounter pretty severe resistance on the way up. So I will be selling into it till I back lower, or just to trim the position even more. But yeah, lots of resistance. You know, it's had bad news, plus silver's under pressure. So another one, silver stock that I'm looking to trim into as I go up, even though I've already trimmed. Support, yeah, so 385, we lose that. I got 350. Just old lines that I've had in place for some time, I believe. And it makes sense. It's not too far down. Okay, CDE. At that beautiful bounce. I might as well add that little support in of the week. Was this actually a level? No, it wasn't. So that one I may have gotten wrong. It just went straight through there, and just on that day, that Monday, just one of the wild bounce. I mean, they all did quite well, but otherwise the gap fill was pretty much something I said would be a reality for all the stocks. And it was. And it wasn't even the gold and silver, it was the markets, it was all the asset classes. It was just a gap fill. And here, yeah, we filled the gap and went up, 3 or 4 cents above, but this is essentially gap fill stuff. So you can see it has trouble here, resistance. This is resistance. 550 is resistance, which is why I sold 549. So, okay, support on the way down, 460. If we lose that, then this is pretty obvious, $4. You can see support there, and it's a big round number, so $4. If we gap fill, then it's 380. I don't see us going all the way down there. You're going to see First Majestic at new lows, so I'm going to stop talking about any lower moves below 380. What might be more realistic actually is a move above. So next resistance, if we can conquer this 550, $6, clear resistance, clear support, clear round number. So $6 after $6, okay, you do have 680 high, but you probably got a bit of resistance here, 660, 650. So CDE, very strong compared to the others and still looks bullish. I mean, we lost the ascending, but and we had a big, decent move down, but otherwise nice move up so far. So not that bad. Heckler had good news. What did I say about Heckler? No matter how good your news is, if the market's going down, it will raise the whole thing. And it did that on its little, when was the earnings day? It had good earnings. Was it Friday or was it another day? I forgot, but it was up like 6% and it went all the way down to basically 1 or unchanged, and it's actually what I predicted. I mean, I guessed that completely, but the point is, no matter how good your earnings are, if you're having a bad day, it comes down. However, we'll get to that in a bit. We had some miners that had really good days, and but the market was favorable to the miners on Friday. So, but this one I have a feeling would not have had a up 1 or 0% day if the markets were red, because that's quite a big move on gold. We'll get to that in a bit. But Hector proved itself, nice bounce from 440, went all the way back up, filled the gap and some, and that's because of this earnings. I think it was that day, maybe Wednesday. And you can see it ended up just closing pretty ugly candle, but made up for it. Yeah, no, Hector did okay from 440 all the way back to $5. Obviously, long way away from the old highs, but pretty good. And I was able to basically make it be worth the same as all the other silver stocks now. So Hector is worth the same as all the other ones. That's been my objective. I was able to take advantage of the low prices, whilst the others came down in value too. So it's kind of narrowed from both sides. So 440, next level, I had 460. Does that even count anymore? Maybe not. I need to get rid of some of these lines. I don't even know which ones are real. I mean, gap fill would have been, but we've actually taken that out. So I got 520 for resistance. That was the high of the week. The low of the week is going to be here, this 440. And you know what? I'm just going to leave it like that because I don't even know where it's going to go. Is there a little level here? Maybe, but I'll let next week play out, and maybe silver and Silj will have an effect on it. So we'll see how that chance do. But that's all I've got for Hector for now. Will we go lower? I absolutely doubt it after the good news, but otherwise $4, pretty clear, big round number. Will we go higher? That's more probable than breaching below 440. And the next level would simply, just by looking at it, 580. It's too much of a move to go all the way up to 630. That's it for Heckler. EXK. Yeah, gap fill, right? So 330 is your level, 284 is your support. If we lose 284, you know what? I think it'll probably be the lowdown of this. Yeah, 240. It's probably your next level before you start hitting. Yeah, so okay, 280, then 240. Now, if we start to move up, then after 330, yeah, 380. To be honest, that'll do. I don't see it going above that. If we do, then yeah, the ascending will probably act as a resistance too. And if we go higher than that, 420, the old resistance, support, and then flush. Yeah, so all those levels for me are correct. So all I got to do is look at this chart. If things start to move crazy, I know exactly where to buy, where to sell. Very useful. Mag Silver, that one's also been pretty resilient. 1150 held quite well. The gap fill is over. I can take out these lines or readjust. You know what? I'll take it out because it was the ascending that played quite well. You can see it's just this. Also, this gap fill. They all have that little gap fill. Let's call it 1240 gap fill. So on the way down, if we go down 1140, could even say 1130. You know what? 1130 is the real one now because whatever's more recent is more credible as support. So the low from here. If we lose that, I don't know. I'll just let it play out because it's nothing obvious. And I don't want to go all the way down to $10 because it's going to stop off before then. So it's probably going to be something like 11. But let's leave that. If we take out 1250 and run, then we'll probably be hitting the ascending of this, just like the XK. If we trade within it and close within it, then it's going to be the old high of $14. And it had good news. So this only came down because of the sector, to be honest. The next one, as mining has done okay. It's a bit of a strange one with the spread. So sometimes the candles can look a bit strange. Gap filled and some trading sideways in the middle of the week's range. I think I'm going to readjust this and just make it the high of the week. So 410 on the way up. After that, 450. After that, the old high of 470. And actually 480 is a kind of a longer term resistance. So we've got quite a few resistance points from 450 upwards, like every 10, 15 cents. But yeah, 410 is really what you need to breach. We didn't close as well as many other ones on Friday. So what have we got? We've got support around let's say 370, because this one has a strange one with the spread. This one I've trimmed quite a bit. So I don't mind if it actually comes all the way back down. Then I got 350 light support. Just happened to be a bit of resistance there, but nothing crazy. But really what's your support is this ascending line here, working from all the way down here. So if we lose 350 and start making our way to 320, it should be very strong. I don't see it happening, but I kind of hope it happens. Next one, I am gold. Look at that. It had good news. I'm not going to get into the news, but it had very good news. You can see that. It was kind of resilient like many others. You know, it wasn't trading all the way down during this crazy period like First Majestic and Fortuna and all that. It held quite well, but like Mag Silver, I'd say, hit the lower range of its support. You can see these levels pretty clear, 350, 385. But look at that, you know, it just opened up $4. Yeah, it traded and hit this support, which is very, very healthy confirmation of support. Went straight through what I thought would have been minimum resistance. It was the resistance to the last couple of candles here. 420 had troubles. Didn't care, went straight through the descending, hit the old resistance up here of, let's say, 435 and closed outside the resist of the descending. For me, I don't even care about the gap fill. If it starts to run again, Monday, Tuesday, it's just going to simply go for the old high 460. You're coming off the back of extremely good news, a pretty good chart. So it kind of wants to go to 540. It's just, does the market allow it? You know, does the sector give it the excuse, the green light to do it? So this one pretty destined to 460, I'd say. Support is just going to be what we've just went through. So 385, 350. And I'm sorry, after news like that, you're just not going to go down 350. And if you do, it's because the sector's gone down and it'll probably bounce very hard, just like Newmont did after its good news. So after your 460, yeah, 540. That's all I'll say about that. Conversely, you had BTG, B2 Gold, have bad news. Now, I made more money in Iron Gold than I lost in B2 Gold. Not by too much, but to kind of equalize the damage, Equinox was quite good too. I had a green day, obviously, but yeah, I don't, what was the news for B2 Gold? I don't even know. I think it had bad earnings, something like that. But, and I did buy it 2 4 something. I didn't get the absolute low. I was a bit shocked by it. I didn't have good till cancel buys in either. So I bought it near where it closed, actually. Not the best, but whatever. So, first of all, this ascending is gone. Second of all, this, so I don't know, this support, normally I would remove it. I will remove it. This can stay, it's just absolutely long-term and relevant at all times. Let's just remind ourselves where we're coming from here. Okay, this horizontal support worked. I wasn't prepared for it, but yeah, 235 makes sense, the absolute low. Now, this will be a zone for sure, which is where it opened actually. This sort of, maybe I should lift it a little higher or something like in the middle, just keep it simple. It's only 1 or 2 cents off. So this prior support and high of day resistance on Friday should come into play. Now, remember, we closed here. So if we start to move up from 240, then your 265, 264 will be resistance. After that, you got a bit of a gap fill. I'm going to remove this long-term descending because I don't think it plays a part anymore. Let's clean up the chart. This, yeah, that's, maybe there's another mini, just lots of mini ones. This is not really something to pay attention. This is me talking to myself here. Those are levels on a sort of daily basis. So that'll be resistance, then that, then that, then that. And to be honest, I'm not going to be selling these. I'm not going to be selling. They just zoom out. You're at absolute lows. The whole area, this entire zone is one big low. Yes, you can be a bit more tactical. And to be honest, it's worth it. It's still pretty decent swings, like all the way from the 230 all the way, yes, 30%. That's definitely worth trading. But still, you know, big picture, it's kind of the same zone. It's like SBSW, which I'll get to. This entire thing, it's big moves, but it's kind of the same zone. You need a bit of perspective there. All right, back to daily. Sorry. So yeah, resistance on the way up. There you go. That's what I got. Support 240, 235. That is your support. If you start to go lower than that, then it's going to be COVID lows 220. I think this just needs to be mended. I think you start trading next week, it'll sort of slowly grind back up. Do we test a double bottom if there's, gold and silver going down? Yeah. Do we flush it? If we do, I think we bounce back up and still trade at the lows. The damage is done, but eventually it'll go back up. But I think the damage is kind of done. So it will take a few weeks to, even if you got gold at 2,500 plus, I just feel like you take a few weeks to get your momentum back up to $3. So just come off the back of bad news, What else can you do? All right, we'll just monitor that one. Equinox, quite good. Look at that ascending support. My goodness, on the dot. Beautiful, beautiful. I think I added this line in recently. I don't think I had it before, but there's your ascending support. Now here, this is also kind of support. It was prior resistance, also hit it twice, quite importantly. So I'm going to leave it in. I need to. No, take it out. Don't need it. This ascending is more important. You go down there, you know the ascending is going to work, so you might as well be buying anyway, and it'll coincide with that horizontal. So the resistance, yeah, that was prior support, so that's resistance, but we've already gone higher than that and closed the gap, and now this becomes real resistance. So actually, I'll give it a bigger range. We've got the ascending on the way out, on the way down. That's your support. That will hold. If it doesn't, then you've got this clear psychological big round number, $4. Boom, boom. But for now, I expect the ascending to hold. On the way up, let's call it 515, 520, maybe even 520, high of the week. I should really leave it in the middle. Okay, 520. If we take that out, then we're going to be hitting the old 560 zones and then the old high 620. So there you go. That's what we got for Equinox. Finally, SPSW, which I just looked at. Like I said, I'm not interested until it flushes 4. We're below 4, but I don't believe it until I really see it. I want it to take out this one here. This is really, we'll be looking at palladium, platinum, and all these other metals for this one, but I don't believe the breakdown until it really flushes. And then I may add, finally, I've only added this once or twice months ago, and I don't mind adding it if it really flushes more. Happy I didn't buy it back actually, because many times it looked like it was going to break out, and I never bought into it. All right, that'll do. I don't know if that was fast, but I tried to be quite quick. I'm sorry I can't cover the others. It's a late update, isn't it? So I can't cover all of them. Sorry about that, at least today. All right, let's see what happens, because the markets have just opened. Bitcoin's going down. Gold is unchanged. That's okay. So let's see what happens. This week will be very important to settle the dust from last week. Good luck.